EA SPORTS NHL's gameplay. Most of the player base seem to think that the gameplay in NHL games has gotten worse over the years, and I agree.
It's only a game. Why you have to be mad?
I'm a player who has played this franchise for about 20,000 hours in my life. My first NHL was 07 and I started playing competitively in NHL 17. In this video, I'll give my views on what I would want NHL's gameplay to look like. Naturally, my opinions are of an competitive player. Here are some problems that I have with the game currently and my solutions to fix them. AI is the biggest problem in the game right now. They just don't have hockey IQ, they act similar in every situation, they can't adapt, and all of this makes them really exposable. Most of the things that make me dislike NHL 24 are AI related. Here are some examples. You can't rely on your AI to cover their position defensively, which makes you have to defend multiple plays at the same time manually, which is impossible in a game like hockey. They make countless of stupid decisions per game, like jumping to a bench when your opponent is on a counterattack. AI feeling the same and doing the same mistakes year after year also makes the game feel similar and have the same problems every year. My solution to fix the AI is simple: make them smarter, more trustworthy, and just less exposable. It's easier said than done, but something needs to happen to the AI for regular 1v1 games to be more enjoyable. Problem number 2. The goalies. On the topic of AI, I want to talk about the goalies, one of the most talked about things in the game as well. Similar to my feedback on the AI in general, the AI goalies are easily exploitable. In every NHL, there's 2 to 3 goals which automatically work every time when you get to a certain spot in the ice. This is called a glitch goal. Also, the AI goalies are really inconsistent. You can have a game where your goalie makes 30 saves, allows 0 goals, and is a Superman. Another where they allow every shot they face. This of course comes down to the player's skill level as well. I also want to add human goalies to this. If you play World of Shell, you know that the human goalies are too inconsistent as well. Sometimes pucks go through goalies when they're perfectly in position. Other times they save pucks when they're out of position. It's not rewarding and there's not enough skill gap. My solution to the goalies: you can't have inconsistent goaltending in a competitive online setting. That's not fun or especially fair for anyone. For me, the goalies should be around the same level in every game you play. Of course, have some variance depending on your goalies overall. They should also be able to adjust to how they're getting scored on better. Let's say your goalie gets sniped top glove once. Next time, your goalie should be covering the glove side a bit more when your opponent is shooting right, which would make him easier to beat on the blocker side, for example. This would also make the offensive player look at the goalie's positioning more when they're taking shots. Right now, all you need to know is that when you get to a certain spot, like here in NHL 24, low blocker is always a goal. Players should be forced to adjust on the situation to actually know how to score. And the goalies need to be consistent in the level they play for the competitive experience. As for human goalies, this actually applies to the AI goalies as well. And it's ridiculous that I even have to say this: pucks should not go through goalies when they're in position. And goalies should not save pucks when they're out of position. For EA's defense, goalies are actually not an easy thing to code into the game, and I don't envy EA at all in trying to figure out the goalies, but they need some improvement, and that's how I would do it. Third problem: strategies and settings not having enough options. The strategy options in NHL have literally been the same for as long as I remember. Same sliders, same options to choose from, and they're so limited as well. In NHL 24, I like to play with the behind the net strategy, but when I'm on the power play, I don't have any option to do so. The worst part is all of this was way better in the old days. NHL 14, for example, you could literally make and run your own plays for the AI. And same for the settings. Over 10 years ago, you could make your own camera angles, but not anymore. This is something you notice in my content a lot. I've played with 3 different camera angles this year because I can't find one which I like. How is good stuff that we had 10 plus years ago not in the game anymore? It makes no sense. Solution to strategies and settings not having enough options: well, have more options for us. Fourth problem: mechanics. Mechanics of the game are awful right now. What in the world is this? What? You see this in everything that happens in the game, and here's what I mean. No matter what you do, you get stuck on too many animations, dekes aren't fluid enough as you lose the puck when you're just trying to do regular dekes with even the best players. Passing is inconsistent with the pickups and aiming of the passes. Hitting is really crazy with all the different animations. In NHL 24, you can also do a speed boost before you hit. When you try to do a poke check, your player slows down after one poke. You can only backskate with the puck on certain angles. There's so many more examples like this, which makes for a really sluggish experience. My solution to the mechanics. Make the mechanics of the game simpler. When I press a button in a video game, I want to have control. I want to know what's about to happen and not get into an animation roulette. A lot of players loved NHL 14. It doesn't look as good as NHL 24, but the good thing about the game was that it felt like you had the control. I don't think a hockey video game needs so many different animations to try to make the game look better. NHL 14 was the most popular NHL game from my time playing this franchise, and for me the simple working mechanics of that game was one of the reasons why. Fifth problem. EA band-aiding issues. I completely hate this. EA Sports bread and butter is seeing an issue and fixing it with a band-aid fix without actually finding the solution to the actual issue. Here are some examples. So players complained for years that the L2 button was too overpowered and that the offensive player shouldn't be so agile while on the back skate. So EA's solution to the problem in NHL 24 was just to not let us backskate at all while pressing the L2 in certain areas of the ice, rather than just making the backskate itself less overpowered and powerful. Another example of band-aiding. Before NHL 23, poke check spam was an issue with people spamming it, so instead of making the animation different, now in the game your player forgets how to skate after trying to poke check 2 times in a row. Like, it's crazy. My last example, the amount of one-timer goals in NHLs have always been complained about. In NHL 23, EA tried to fix the issue with the goalies being superhuman to them, which made the problem 10 times worse. Now on top of having more unrealistic goalies, you can't score on one-timers unless you're right in front of the goalie, which makes scoring the one-timers even more repetitive than before, because now it's only one area of the ice you can score the one-timer from, and it's still really hard to stop for the defensive team. One-timers were never the issue. The actual issue was how hard it was to defend them. With the silly AI and the defensive mechanics that we have, which I talked about before, offensive players should be rewarded for creating good one-timer opportunities. That's just good for the game, and it's realistic. Solution to EA band-aiding issues. EA just needs to start focusing on the core of these issues rather than band-aiding them. Otherwise the game will just get worse and worse. There's my biggest problems and solutions to them in EA Sports NHL Games. One more important thought that I want to add. 100% realistic hockey game doesn't equal to a good video game. I think a lot of players don't understand this. I see feedback all the time on EA's social media that something in an NHL game is unrealistic. Yes, the game needs to be realistic and it needs to resemble hockey as much as possible, otherwise it's not a hockey game. But a good video game needs things that don't always happen in real life. Hockey as a sport is one of the most luck-based sports out there. There's a lot of mistakes, puck bounces like crazy. When you add stuff like that to a video game, it often doesn't work. I'm seeing EA struggle with the balance of this as well. Just a note here, I am aware that a lot of players do like the ultra-realistic simulation experience, with the stick breaks, glass breaks, whatever it might be, but that just doesn't work for online play. Ideally, EA should do 2 different tuner sets in my opinion, one for online and one for offline play. NHL 22 was one of the most realistic hockey games I've ever played. Defense was super super strong, probably the hardest NHL to score in. They added a new passing mechanic where you needed to hover your passes perfect or your player wobbled the puck. You couldn't pass no-look passes. The puck luck was also insane in that game. You never knew where the puck is bouncing next. One of the main ways to scoring that game was just to get the puck in front and get deflections and rebounds. Like it or not, it was the most realistic hockey experience, but after NHL 23, it was my least liked NHL game to date. It wasn't fun, it wasn't competitive, luck played too much of a factor. And many people agreed, that's why EA went back on the passing changes only a year later, for example. NHL games, in my opinion, need some unrealistic aspects to be a better video game. This is a given as we can't play full-length 3 acts 20-minute periods either. Here's some elements that in my opinion need to be different in the game than in real life. Puck luck needs to be less of a factor in a game. Deking needs to be more effective. Passing and movement just has to be smoother than in real life. Game speed has to be higher. Hits should be better. And total luck elements like stick and glass breaks should totally be removed from the game. So there's my opinions on how to fix EA's NHL's gameplay. This is a very divisive topic, so let me know your opinions in the comments. Thanks for watching and see you next time.